Hello and happy holidays to everyone in the cruising family. We're back with another bonus episode. This week we have Ray, who is a bartender at Doc Marie's in Portland, Oregon. Again, a wonderful interview that didn't end up making it into the episode. Something really interesting about Ray is that she was actually part of the first round of staff at Doc Marie's. She was sick leading up to the opening, so she wasn't around for most of what we covered last episode. But then she also was the only person on staff to stick around after the opening, and I think she has a lot of really valuable things to say.
I'm Ray. She pronouns are cool. I'm a bar back and cook here. So I saw an ad for a lesbian bar that was opening up, and I immediately hit them up. I'm new to Portland, or I've been here a little over a year now, and I'm from Missouri, and we have maybe 3 or 4 gay bars, and I had just never even been to a lesbian space or anywhere that was kind of labeled like a lesbian bar or a lesbian anything really. And so seeing a lesbian bar opening up, I kind of knew it was something sort of historical. I knew it was something I wanted to be a part of. Part of why I moved out here in the first place is I knew there was a big lesbian community out here, kind of in the West Coast in general, but it was what brought me here in the first place. So it felt like destiny to kind of to work in this place, and it didn't really even matter what I was gonna do here. I was ready to dishwash. I was ready to, just bust tables, anything. It was just being here literally was I just had to do it,
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That's so special.
Yeah, and I hear that from a lot of people that come into, a similar thing. A lot of people aren't from here, but even people that are, it's every week at least I get someone especially older women who get really kind of emotional even about how happy they are that there's a lesbian bar.
Yeah. So was this the first lesbian bar that you ever
Yeah, that I ever set foot in.
And what was that like? Do you remember the first time you came here?
Well, the first time I came in here, it was, they were still, everything was kind of torn down. There's boxes everywhere because they were still, it wasn't what it is now yet, but, I don't know, kind of the knowledge of what it was going to be, it felt really exciting.
Can you talk more about your decision to move here? How did that happen? It's a huge decision.
No, yeah, it was kind of just a miracle. It was me and my best friend, we had just both been in Missouri for our whole lives. And after COVID and everything, we both knew we had to get out. And I had been to Portland one time before, just on a camping trip, and I fell in love with it. And we just did it. We just did it. And then, at first I was dishwashing in a sushi restaurant for a while, just doing whatever to get by. And then I saw the ad for this place, and immediately, I left there and came here.
So, okay, yeah, so it was very soon into living here that you saw the ad, obviously. That's all kind of fast.
Yeah.
Well, how old are you? Sorry.
I'm almost 27.
Oh, okay, you look really young.
I know, people tell me that.
Yeah, I know that so much too. What was it like spending your whole life in Missouri?
Well, so I'm from Kansas City, so it's the big city kind of, it's the little blue dot in the red state, so there's a queer scene there. It's not, I tell people that I'm from Missouri, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, are there people there? Do you have internet?" And it's no, it's kind of a lot like Portland, but less cool. I would never go back, but
actually never go back. You don't go back to visit your family
No, like I will eventually, but it's gonna take a while.
So you haven't been back yet?
I've been back one time
Oh,
to
okay.
visit family. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I just got really used to like gay spaces and stuff being like this really limited kind of small thing that is like mostly for gay men, and then like lesbians go there, and like, it's because where else are you gonna go? Um, I just never really thought about it, because I just had never seen anything else. You know what I mean? And like, I kind of started reading about like the history of like lesbian bars and like lesbian spaces and stuff. Part of like when I was like looking up like Oregon and Portland in general, it was like there's this huge history of kind of like the women's movement, like because that's what it was called back in the day, whatever, and like women's lands and stuff like that, and like, and I know there have been lesbian bars here before, but people like come and like tell us about it sometimes. Like there was like the E room, I guess, before was like the escape room.
Yeah. So when did you start researching and like realizing that there was so much more outside of Missouri or Kansas City?
I don't know, like it's been a long time, honestly. Like I've been kind of like I've kind of had this like fantasy of moving out here for, like since I was like maybe in high school even. Like I came out in like freshman year, and I was like one of 3 or 4 gay kids that were out in my whole school, and I kind of just I knew there was more out there somewhere, and just like looking up kind of like lesbian history, I just found there's this whole the world that kind of doesn't exist as much anymore, of like the like lesbian spaces and activism and stuff out here.
It's honestly so surprising, like, to get into so much of the history, like, just the basically queer history, like, because it's not, you don't hear about it anywhere else unless you're, like, intentionally trying to find it.
Yeah, and it was a lot of like deep diving too. It's like these old books that are out of print, is like periodicals that don't exist anymore, or like there's like Lesbian Connection that's like which I get, and it's like mostly like older women in it, and there's like a lot of, it's kind of depressing because there's a lot of like half the book now usually is like a little magazine, and half of it is like the like memorials or whatever for like, women who died, because it's like that's how like the community, it's like sucks to say, but it's like dying, or it felt like it was. I don't know, I felt this really strong urge to like be a part of the young people like reviving it, or like that's part of why I like have kind of made it a point recently to really like clearly like openly identify as lesbian, like I'm a lesbian, capital L, like instead of, like queer, or gay is cool too, whatever. But I think like it's kind of like when you create a lesbian space and like you see other people like embracing like the lesbian identity, it kind of makes space for more people to feel comfortable in that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I would have felt as comfortable doing it if I didn't see other people, really like embracing that. And like I think that's some like, if I were like here and I saw that there was like a lesbian bar that opened and there's like lesbian meetups happening here, I would maybe be like, oh, lesbians. It would kind of like that spark that like maybe lesbians are not just like this outdated thing.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, like, we didn't really talk that. I feel like we're in our research for the second season, like, hearing a lot more, talking a lot more about, like, the use of the word lesbian and, like, and just, yeah, you're the second person that in our, like, beginning of our interviews that has talked about that, too, like, a young person, like, really strongly wanting to identify that way. We're definitely gonna, like, get into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all this stuff that you're saying, like the lesbian connection in women's land, like you found all that all on your own, but like you're not just like an avid cruising listener that knows like the stuff that we've covered, right?
No, like I found your podcast because I was just like looking up like lesbian podcasts and stuff. I was just trying to find more because I have this dream of kind of starting my own like, I don't know, podcast or publication or something. But yeah, it was like way after. And it was cool to see that. I was like, it's kind of one of the things that, I don't know, I see things and I get hopeful that it was like, oh, it's not just like me and a couple other weirdos like being so like gung-ho about lesbianism, you know. It's like we're all kind of doing this.
Yeah, there are a lot of us.
Yeah.
Maybe not enough, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's really cool. That's like so awesome to hear. That's exactly what I want, is for someone to be like, lesbian podcast.
That's literally what it was like.
I mean, if we ever have a budget to hire a researcher, you're first on the list. Yeah. Like, you're awesome. That's like so cool that you're like, for yourself, you're doing all the research that we're doing as well.
Yeah, because there's so much stuff that like, I feel like we're kind of like recreating, or like we're like trying to reinvent the wheel a lot of times when I see like, I don't know, like people my age and stuff, and like the queer community, like, and like even like conversations that we're having, and like kind of like even the fights that the queer community has. It's all this stuff that like when I like looked into it, and it's like we've been having these like conversations forever. Like we've been like talking about this stuff for so long, and like nobody knows, like nobody, unless you like really like dig deep into it, you would just never know. Yeah.
I don't want to like get too much in the weeds on this because you were around from the beginning, so you obviously like were here for all of the internet drama is the key word. Like every time I say internet drama, while covering companies. But can you talk about like your decision to stay and keep working here? Like how did that all happen for you? Like, yeah, that you're still obviously very loyal to.
Yeah. Well, when I first even just like applied here, I kind of saw it as something like bigger than kind of any of us, like kind of even bigger than Olga, like bigger, you know, it's you know, kind of a symbolic thing even. I don't know, when all the like drama happened, I stay off social media for the most part. Like I find it like a pretty toxic kind of place in general. But I just kind of did like a cursory glance, like saw like what people are saying, and like before anything even really happened, there were just some people who kind of seemed to be like ready to like look for anything wrong, which I thought was really like weird. I don't know, and I think that's kind of maybe sort of a Portland thing even also. Like I hate to make that stereotype, but like I think sometimes people out here just get really excited about a cause sometimes. And so then like when all the drama happened, I wasn't like fully there for a lot of it, and like I was sick for like the opening night. I hadn't really like gotten to know any of the people, but the whole thing seemed to happen really fast, and it seemed to kind of just multiply really quickly from people who weren't there. From people who just kind of like saw something and wanted to jump on it. Like they saw something quote unquote problematic and were like, this is something I can get mad about, you know? And it was like really confusing to me, honestly. It was something, it's like, I hadn't ever experienced anything like that, especially like back home. I had never seen anything like that happen. I don't know. I think I saw like a lot of like misdirected anger and like confusion. I don't know, maybe it's kind of cliche to say, but I do think it kind of also has to do with like, some people say it's like that like Portland or like the world isn't like, we're like over lesbians or like bars or whatever. Is like we've moved on to like all these other things. Like we don't need a lesbian bar. Like I saw people kind of say stuff like that. People trying to like be like, why isn't it just a queer bar, or like stuff like that. And it was hard not to like separate that from kind of like the drama. You know what I mean? But I saw it, I was like, this is creating like a lesbian space, a lesbian bar. I felt like was like more important, even if there are like problems or like, you know, I think it is worth it to like put in effort to like make a lesbian space good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you're on the other side of it. Like you're the person that was like, okay, like I'm gonna stay and make this better.
Yeah.
Like
that was my immediate instinct was like, okay, well I want to stay and like see this through. And like I don't want to like jump ship and abandon it cuz I'll like regret it forever if I like left the only lesbian bar in Oregon. You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So what was it like in the aftermath of that, like kind of everybody getting back on track and like more people being hired and like reopening? What was that experience like from the inside?
Well, honestly, it felt like it was like the air had cleared. Like starting back up again, it felt like a whole new place, honestly. And I was like worried coming back in, you know. I had no idea what was going to happen or like what was going on really, or like how the public would react, you know. I wasn't sure exactly like what people's perception was of this place. And I was like really like pleasantly surprised. It was like, I really love all my coworkers. I think we like lucked out and found like a really cool, chill staff. Like we all hang out outside of work. We like laugh and joke all the time. Yeah, it was like a total reset.
What kinds of changes were there after?
Kind of everything. I don't know. Like we got like a whole new menu. Like I'm obviously was like the only one that was still here. There was like a lot.
The only one.
Mhm.
So it's all new people.
Yeah.
And then was there a difference in like sort of steps of service, like that aspect of things, like the way that things were being run?
Well, we only had the one day with the other staff, and there was a lot more people too, which now we have like a pretty cozy little staff, and I think we do well.
Can you talk a little bit more about what it means to now be in this space all the time? The biggest lesbian space really that you could be in around here. What's that?
Yeah. So I know it sounds kind of corny, but it feels magical to me. Like I'm not just saying that. Like
I mean, you're beaming right now talking about it.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't know. I hate working, you know, like anyone else. Like, but like, it doesn't feel like a normal job exactly. Just like the people that come in here, knowing what we're doing, like makes it feel more like a purpose. Like it's like creating something. You know what I mean? Like I know that if I wasn't working here, I would be here all the time. Like, and it's a really a lot of times it's really quiet. It's really like cozy, like intimate here. Like it's not exactly like a popping club. And I think people really like that because it's kind of just a place to exist in. And like I see so many like first dates here. And I also see like a lot of older women like coming here and gathering kind of like groups. You know, I'm in like meetups and stuff. I try to keep up with like what's going on in like the lesbian community around here, and like I see women kind of just meeting up anywhere they can. And like now this is like a dedicated space for that. Like it's not just like, oh, we're gonna find somebody's house or like some random place to be. It's like we're gonna go to the lesbian bar, of course, you know, which is crazy. It's like crazy.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like you moved here thinking that there weren't lesbian bars here.
Yeah,
and
then there was.
Yeah, that's so awesome. That's really. Thank you so much for like talking about it and all of that. Like, I'm just very glad that we snagged you last minute.
Yeah, totally. I was excited. I know I get like I don't know, all woo about it, but it's how I feel.
Cruising is independently reported and produced by a small but mighty team of 3. Story producer and social media manager Rachel Karp, line producer and resident road trip driver Jen McGinnity, and story producer and audio engineer me, Sarah Gabrielli. Our theme song is by Joey Freeman. You can find more at our website, cruisingpod.com, on social media at cruisingpod, and at patreon.com/cruisingpod. Listen to Cruising wherever you get your podcasts.